Basketball Society.
What's up, everybody? Alex Fischbein back with a Fisch's Friday Rant, and I know it's Saturday, so if you're new to the Friday Rant, on Saturday sometimes we gotta do it when a lot of things happen on Friday and we record and we don't have time to re-record, and we just call it Saturday Goodies. So we're giving you Saturday Goodies Volume 2. So what happened last night? I mean, it was insane. We saw Paul George get traded. We saw a bunch of people start re-signing right at midnight. I mean, last night started to get really, really crazy. And the big thing here so far is that all of these trades have dealt with superstars or stars going or staying in the West. And so it all starts off with Chris Paul to the Rockets. Now, a lot of people are like, how is this going to work? How are these two guys going to cooperate to bring the Rockets to farther into the playoffs and even a championship? Because they're ball dominant, blah, blah, blah. And now, some people come back with the argument, well, we said the same thing about the Warriors, that there's only one basketball, how are they going to get all these shots? The situations are different. Let's start off with that. The situations are very, very different because we're talking about James Harden, who was number 1, number 2 in usage, and then Chris Paul, who is about number 4, number 5. We're talking about two guys in the top 5 of, ball dominance. And so this is very, very different between the Warriors, who were more of the guys that are, Clay was catch and shoot most of the time. We're talking about a guy that scored like 60 points with like 11 dribbles. And then we're talking about Draymond Green, who was more of the distributor for the most part. And then Steph Curry, who was also catch and shoot but can also shoot off the dribble. And then adding Kevin Durant, who is also pretty well off the ball as well as on the ball. So those guys had a very good mixture of off and on the ball skills. So now, with James Harden, first off, you get to stagger their minutes. Mike D'Antoni is probably salivating at the thought of being able to have Chris Paul and or James Harden on the floor virtually at all times. You can even run two-man games of just Paul and Harden and have the rest of the team wide open because the other team is going to be focusing on those two. Moving on to the Jimmy Butler trade, they sent Butler over to Minnesota, obviously, for the Dunn, Levine, and the first-round pick that ended up being Markkanen. Jimmy Butler and Wiggins together, I'm not really sure how that's going to work out because they're kind of close to the same player, except Jimmy Butler does more on offense. And Wiggins right now is pretty much like a black hole on offense. Like, you give him the ball and no one else is getting it. Like, that's what we have seen. And he's not good enough offensively to be that kind of black hole. There's not really much going on in the three-point category. There's really nothing at all. So the question here is, who are they going to sign if they want this shooting? Because, mind you, so they got rid of Rubio, who went to the Jazz. Drew Holiday was re-signed to New Orleans. Patty Mills was re-signed to San Antonio. So right now, the guys that are still looking for a team are like George Hill is an option. Kyle Lowry is an option. But then you also have to think, do they have enough money for a guy like Kyle Lowry now that they're paying Butler? They're going to have to re-sign Wiggins soon. They're going to have to re-sign Karl-Anthony Towns in about 2 years, I believe. And so now they have to worry about, so you get Lowry, say you get Lowry for 1 year and pay him a crap ton of money for 1 year. That's not helping you beat the Warriors. Their main core is still really young to the fact that we have to wait and see how they're going to develop. We don't know exactly how Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns are going to keep developing. So there's still a lot of question marks with this team. Now, moving on to the latest trade, Paul George to Oklahoma City. He is the perfect superstar to put alongside Russell Westbrook, a guy who can thrive off the ball, a guy who can play elite level defense, and a guy that can step in and be the hero whenever need be if, say, Westbrook is on the bench. So, Presti, worked his magic. like, praises all to Presti for this move, especially because all they got rid of was Oladipo and Sabonis. And reports are coming out that said, like, oh, Boston apparently offered like 3 first-round picks. First off, if you believe that, and Indiana decided to take this deal over that, they would be insane. There is no way it's true that Boston would have offered 3 or 4 first-round picks, and apparently Atlanta offered 4 first-round picks. There's no way that that is true if they decided to forego 4 first-round picks for Oladipo and Sabonis. I'm sorry, but even the worst of GMs would have made a deal if they were getting offered 4 first-round picks. Billy King would have been all over that, especially for Brooklyn. So that whole thing is stupid, and if you believe it, you got to go back and do some research. And this whole thing makes the East really weak. That's 2 of the biggest stars in the East going to the West now. So this frees up a lot of playoff spots, at least 2, because there's no way the Pacers are making the playoffs now without Paul George. And then the Bulls are kind of, I don't even know what they're doing. So those are 2 teams potentially dropping out of the playoffs, making way for 2 other teams. But then at the bottom of the East, you still have like the Nets, the Knicks, who kind of look hopeless right now. The Sixers are starting to look better. But then the Raptors are losing Kyle Lowry as well, so they're not going to be as good. So the East is like legit this time, LeBron and everybody else. And I'm kind of curious to see what the All-Star team is going to look like, because this is going to be the first time. I think we're going to get like a lot of first-time All-Stars out of this because the other stars are leaving. And is this to attest to that people are scared of LeBron, that people are just waiting out LeBron? I don't know, because at the same time, say you're afraid of facing LeBron, I would also be equally, if not more, as afraid of facing the Warriors in the West. So I don't really know what that plan is, but I guess we'll find out. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching another episode of Fisch's Friday Rant. I'll be back with you guys next week. We can talk some more free agency, obviously, because there will be more of that. And summer leagues coming. So stay tuned, and I'll be back again next week. Alright, guys. Peace.